And confirmed that Attorney General Pam Bondi today signed an order directing an unnamed U.S. federal prosecutor to take evidence to a grand jury relating to an alleged conspiracy to tie then 2016 candidate Donald Trump to the country of Russia. Now, Fox News reviewed the one-page order just hours ago signed by the Attorney General. A source familiar with the probe confirms this as well, while a DOJ spokesperson declined to comment on this report of an investigation. Fox is told Attorney General Bondi is taking the referrals from Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, quote, very seriously. The spokesperson says that Bondi believes there is, quote, clear cause for deep concern, end quote, and a need for the next steps. Now, this move comes just a couple of weeks after the Director of National Intelligence, you see her right there, Tulsi Gabbard, sent a criminal referral to the Justice Department regarding what she says proves there was a conspiracy to undermine Trump's candidacy and later his first term in office. Now, to be clear today, there are no charges that have been filed, no indictments. This is incredibly early in the process.
So let's talk about Pam Bondi, because folks on the conservative right, people like me, yeah, we've been frustrated because for months there's been chatter that she's talking a big game, but she doesn't follow through. And when it comes to the Epstein scandal, the anger is still very real because people want names, they want justice, they want the so-called client lists released and exposed. And I don't blame them. Over 120 individuals were allegedly involved in the Epstein network. Yet after years of headlines, years of so-called arrests and documentaries, still no public accountability, just silence and sealed files. Now, here we are, 7 months into Trump's return to the Oval Office, and while the media has been busy spinning distractions, something actually seems to have shifted. Pam Bondi just took a case to the grand jury. That's not just a press conference. That is, well, at least it appears to be legal teeth. It's a little bit of movement, pressure. Is it real this time? Or just more political theater? Now, I don't know. But if this is legit, and they are really about to start handing out some indictments, this could finally be the moment where the system stops protecting predators and the people who are involved in that Russia hoax. It's time that we see a little bit of justice, I think. Conservatives don't want another speech. We want action. If Bondi's serious, she's got a narrow window to prove it. And if she delivers, it'll be one hell of a reckoning.
What we have here is taking evidence the Justice Department believes it has to a grand jury to secure an eventual indictment or indictments. We don't know exactly where the grand jury will meet. We don't know who will go before the grand jury. And that's by design, because grand juries determine if there's enough evidence to indict, and grand juries are secretive in the American legal system, so it's normal not to know all of the answers. Again, the DOJ declining on any comment regarding this investigation. But, well, big news. This was signed by the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, today to take this evidence of an alleged conspiracy to a grand jury with the hope to get an indictment or multiple.
Okay, so yeah, the latest move towards justice in the Russia hoax, it seems a little bit promising, but let's not get ahead of ourselves, because the key word here is hope. He said hope, not slam dunk, not guaranteed indictment, just hope. But that's okay. But we have to realize when that word is being tossed around in D.C., you better believe we need to proceed with a healthy dose of skepticism. Now, don't get me wrong. It's still a step in what looks to be like the right direction, but let's not forget the damage that's already been done. That Russia hoax, it burned through millions in taxpayer dollars. It wasted years of Americans' time. But worst of all, it rewired the minds of millions of voters. And because mainstream media refused to correct the record, the lie stuck. People still believe the hoax is real. That's the true cost of propaganda, because propaganda doesn't just vanish, it metastasizes. Now, speaking of propaganda and political theater, let's talk about the mayoral race in New York City and why socialism, no matter how pretty it is packaged, it always leads to chaos. Check out this clip.
Who wants to talk about affordability and make New York City more affordable for families. Andrew Cuomo is spending his campaign evidently out just grabbing up as much money as he can from millionaires and billionaires who are unhappy that someone is a mayoral candidate in New York City and didn't start by bending a knee to the billionaires to say what would make your life better. Instead, this is a man who ran for mayor of New York City by saying what will make New York City work better for working people. That's what this campaign is all about. And when Andrew Cuomo is shocked to discover that's actually what New Yorkers want, and that he thinks the right response is get me some billionaires to put some money in to put a stop to that, that says a lot about Andrew Cuomo and who he thinks New York City should work for. So anybody who thinks New York City should work only for the billionaires probably should go with Andrew Cuomo, but anybody who thinks it should work for the people of New York City who are here doing the work every day, for the families who want to live in this city and be able to afford housing and childcare, anyone who thinks that the role of the mayor is to make life work better for working people should be here with Zoran. That's why I'm here.
Now, look, I understand the frustration. New Yorkers, just like folks here in Los Angeles, are desperate for something new. Some kind of change. We're drowning in high rent. We're drowning in crime, inflation, and a sense that the game is rigged. Because it is. People feel cornered. They'll listen to anyone who promises a way out. Enter candidates like Zoran Mondani, New York's rising socialist star, offering free housing, free healthcare, free college. Sounds good on the flyer, right? But here's the trick. This is the trick in life. Nothing comes for free. Socialism might look compassionate, but underneath, it's a trap. It centralizes power, strips away individual freedoms, and turns the government into a gatekeeper of your paycheck. Work hard, doesn't matter. Your money gets siphoned into a system that rewards those who do the bare minimum. That is not justice. That's serfdom. So what comes next? Food lines, poverty, a permanent underclass where the rich get even richer and the rest get breadcrumbs and slogans. Even establishment Democrats are keeping their distance from Mondani because deep down they know. History already told us this story. Venezuela, Cuba, the Soviet Union, even modern-day France and the UK teeter when they swing too far left. Meanwhile, the reason millions are still trying to get into this country is because capitalism, despite its flaws, it gives you a shot, a real shot. Mondani's promises, they're not new. They're recycled lies wrapped in glitter. Check this clip out.
I'm wondering if part of the issue with your party, do you think, is not embracing enough of the energy on the left flank of your party? You're seeing what's happening in your neighboring state in New York. Zoran Mondani, he's the Democratic candidate, Democratic Socialist candidate there. Democratic leaders are not supporting him. Is that a problem? Do you support him?
So you and I are going to have this conversation. And I'm going to say to you one day, I told you so. This is not a left-right issue. It really isn't. It is an authoritarian versus people who want pragmatic government that makes a difference in the lives of American people. I'm one of these people that says the lines that divide us in America are not nearly as strong as the ties that bind us. Big corporations, people want to keep our eyes on the screen, want to pit us against each other and tell us how much we should hate each other. I'm sorry. The left-right lens is not the right lens to look at this right now. Right now it is, can we get back to the pragmatic work of governing?
Mondani, are you going to support him?
I have learned a long time ago. Let New York politics be New York politics. We got enough challenges in Jersey. I got a governor's race. I'm supporting Mikey Sherrill. I got legislative races. That's where my energy is going to go going into November. New York City, I love you. You're my neighbor. You're about 10 miles from where I live. You guys figure out your election.
Let's be honest. Cory Booker is playing a very, very slick game. Disingenuous doesn't even begin to cover it. He's sitting on the sidelines, refusing to endorse Zoran Mondani, not because he cares about you or me, not because he's concerned about New York. No, Booker's hesitation is purely strategic. He's worried about his career. He's worried about his brand. He's worried about his future. He's not calling his own shots. He's waiting for the party bosses to whisper in his ear before he makes a move. That's not leadership. That's cowardice. And we've seen enough of this. And let's not miss the bigger picture. The left loves to pretend they're the ones preaching unity, yet they're the ones constantly slicing society into categories: race, gender, sexual identity, income, immigration status, always dividing, always labeling. Then they turn around and say conservatives are the ones pitting people against one another. That's projection 101. You see, evil loves to accuse others of the very thing it's guilty of. Racist, transphobe, misogynist, xenophobe, person of color, marginalized, disadvantaged. These terms sound caring on the surface, but in practice, they separate us. They atomize society into fighting factions where people focus on their differences instead of their shared humanity, and that's the game. Keep us distracted while they cash in, while they gain power and push policies nobody actually asked for. Booker even said it himself. His priorities are governors' races, party loyalty, political alliances. Did he mention you? Not once. Because to them, it's never about us. It's about staying in power together.
You mentioned Mondani, and you are in New York, sort of speaking on behalf of him to a certain extent. I wonder, though, often we see this, and this is a local election. New York does not operate in a vacuum. It competes with other cities. And so this idea of somehow raising taxes on the wealthiest New Yorkers, who, by the way, I would point out, pay roughly 15% of their income right now between city and state, raising taxes on them will simply drive them away. Shouldn't the focus of a mayor be on delivering services to the constituents of the city and doing that by raising the most revenue as possible without chasing businesses and the high-income taxpayers out of the city? Because they can go to Austin, they can go to Dallas, they can go to Atlanta, they can go to Nashville. This is your issue. It's a national issue, not a local issue.
The issue is affordability. Do you know how many working families are chased out of New York City every day because they can't afford housing, they can't afford groceries, they can't afford child care? What Zoran is saying is, I want people to be able to afford to live in New York City. That's what keeps it a vibrant city. That's what makes people want to live
Nobody
here.
disagrees with that, Senator, but raising taxes in order to do it? Why is that the answer?
Oh, dear. Are you worried that billionaires are going to go hungry?
No, I'm worried that they're going to leave and spend their money elsewhere.
They've threatened to do that over and over and over.
And they have. They've left.
But here's the thing.
And Goldman Sachs, when they create new jobs, they do it in Dallas. And Blackstone won't build a new headquarters. Go on and on.
You want to have a workable city. You want to have a city that's vibrant. You want to have a city where the streets are full, where there are things for sale 24 hours a day. Then you need people who can live here and work here.
We've got that right now, by the way. I would point out New York is thriving. So now it's doing pretty well, actually.
I'm glad you think they're doing well, because a lot of people are struggling to pay for housing. A lot of people are struggling to pay for groceries. And I got to tell you, mamas and daddies who are facing $25,000 a year to pay for childcare.
Those are national issues. I know they are the local state, but you can't.
New York City.
Yes, but if you deal with them in that way, by what is always your backup, just tax them more, they will leave.
No.
So let's cut through the noise here, because what Senator Warren is selling, it's not really a plan. It's a fantasy, a dream that will never come true. You notice how she keeps repeating the word billionaires. That's not by accident. That's a trigger word designed to fire up emotions, because the Democrats' playbook is simple. Keep people jealous, keep people angry, and keep people distracted. They need you emotional. Why? Because emotional people are easy to control. Just say the magic words: racism, sexism, transphobia, misogyny, and boom. You've got millions of people marching, raging, voting without even thinking. They spent years planting those emotional seeds in your mind, watering them through media, school, pop culture. So now, when they say the word, your reaction is automatic. That is not democracy. That's programming. And Warren's pitch: raise taxes to give people free stuff. There is no such thing as free. Someone's paying, and it's not her. It's going to end up being you. You'll pay more taxes so someone else will get a handout. Does that sound like fairness? Or does that sound like what it is? A trap. The gentleman in the video that said, these aren't just national issues, they are human issues. This is true. There's no such thing as universal equality. We all have different talents, different goals, and different levels of drive. That is not injustice. That's just reality. Always has been, always will be. And here's the real kicker. Warren and her crew, they know this. These so-called public servants are millionaires many times over on a $200,000 a year salary. Have you ever wondered how? Because they've got the map. They've got the GPS to wealth, and they're not giving you directions. Because if you get to the top, they lose control.
And make this country work for everyone. I get that the Republican point of view is make this country and make every city in this country work better and better for a handful of billionaires and let everybody else eat dirt. But what Mondani won on in a Democratic primary is he said, I'm going to address affordability. And he didn't win by one vote.
No, he won by a lot. It's very much unclear he has the ability to actually do it, by the way, based on the laws and what the governor has to say and what he would actually have to do.
You know, I love that as the fallback position, and that is he's fighting for the right thing, but maybe the billionaires will have a way to
everybody wants a more affordable city. There's no doubt about that. The question is how you go.
You
build more housing.
You're going to want to pay their part on this.
You build more housing. You do try to make it more affordable, but it is a very difficult thing to do. You know that around the country. This is not an issue that's just here in New York. It's everywhere.
But it's not an issue that Eric Adams was fighting for. It's certainly not an issue that Andrew Cuomo was fighting for.
I think the mayor would say they have been trying to focus on building as many new.
Mondani is the one who said, I will make this a priority. And you know what he said? He said, I'm really going to lean in on childcare. I'm really going to lean in on housing. And I'm even going to try some new things to bring down the cost of groceries.
So it doesn't concern you that
I'm not going to sit around and pretend, oh, it's a federal problem. Let the federal government fix
You can say all these things, but again, I think many people would disagree to the extent that by raising taxes and making it more onerous for business, that create the jobs, that create the revenues on which tax revenues come from, that you'd ultimately be dealing with a smaller pie. He may succeed by driving everybody out. Rents will go down.
That the best way to run city government or national government is to start with the billionaires and say what will work best for you. Vote Republican.
I don't think anybody in New York is talking about doing that.
If you don't, then let's make the city more affordable. Let's make the country more affordable. And the way we do that, let's focus on housing. Let's focus on groceries. Let's focus on childcare. Donald Trump
These are your
ran.
issues.
Donald,
These are national
Donald
issues.
Trump
You deal with
ran
that.
For and New York should just say, all we want is the
mayor of New
billionaires
York
pay
should
whatever
focus
you
on
want to
delivering
pay.
the most services to the citizens of the city and make it a point of improving life for them.
Your fellow New Yorkers have said he should focus on affordability. This is why they have voted for Mondani, and that's why today I will be here to talk about his plans on childcare, why people are talking about his plans. He's going to experiment to try to bring down grocery costs and food deserts. God bless him on that. He's going to try something. When's the last time you saw America? I'm going to try something.
You think somebody who has absolutely no experience, 33-year-old socialist, is going to succeed as the mayor of New York?
Yes, I do.
With no real experience whatsoever in city government?
I think he's going to do a lot more for working families than someone like Cuomo who says, how many billions of dollars can we get into my campaign so that I can try to beat this guy back? Look, this is democracy at work. People want to see someone who's on their side, and that is Zoran Mondani.
You know what's wild is that Senator Warren has been in office for decades, but when she speaks now, she sort of sounds like a teenager who just discovered TikTok activism. It's like all that experience, all that tenure, and still no substance. Just emotional buzzwords and recycled slogans. But hey, maybe New Yorkers need to experience the fallout firsthand. Because let's be real, Mondani is probably going to win. A lot of voters have been conditioned. A lot of voters have been programmed over the past few years to believe that somehow these socialist ideas will actually work. So maybe it takes real world consequences, skyrocketing rent, food shortages, collapsing public services to snap people out of their illusion. But I will say that I hope I'm wrong. I really hope that I'm wrong, because I'd like to see him succeed. I'd like to see Los Angeles succeed too. But like I always say, sometimes the only teacher left is experience. So for now, we wait, we watch, and we keep calling it like we see it. That's it for today. I'm Wolf Kage, and this was Wolf Kage Los Angeles. Stay unwoke. Peace.